Justin Cascio from Mafia Genealogy. So in the previous two videos, we started building a family tree using our personal recollection, and then we added to that with family lore, stories about family members who we may never have met. I'm going to outline a process for you in this video of how to look at a vital record as a genealogist. Before we begin searching for records, I want to talk about what kinds of records we're likely to find and what we can learn from them. Every event in a person's life that is documented at or very close to the time that it occurred by people who were witnesses to the event and testify to the identities of the people involved, that creates a vital record. A baby is born, the midwife reports the birth to the city hall, the clerk creates an official record called an Untitled Chapter, or a birth announcement, and that's a vital record. The baby gets on a ship with her uncle and sails to America to join her mother. The manifest naming the passengers, where they got on and off, that's a vital record. Vital records are created when we pass through a life event, when we're born, when we're married, when we die. I use a more expansive definition of vital records to include religious and educational milestones like baptism, confirmation, and graduation. Most people will also include draft registration, voter registration, appearance in the census, births of their children, divorce, prison admissions, petitions for citizenship, passport applications, because these all serve the same purpose to you as a genealogist of being primary evidence, at the very least, that your subject was at a particular place and when. Starting with what my great-uncle Joseph told us about his father's family of origin, I can find a matching family in census records. I know that they lived in New York City after 1901. There's a federal census that's taken every 10 years. The family wasn't there yet for the 1900 census, but we can look for them in 1910. In addition to the U.S. Census, New York State conducted its own censuses between the federal ones, so we can look for this family in the 1905 New York State Census living in Manhattan. We'll recognize them from all of their names occurring together in the same family. My twice-great-grandmother Angelina Grizzafi, who I expect to find under her married name of Cassio in the United States, and her children, Leoluca, Tilly, Rose, and John. These are the names of the people in Angelina's family according to great-uncle Joseph. You'll remember from the last video that we found two more sisters in this family, Giovanna and Maria. They were on the ship with their mother Angelina and their older sister Salvatrice, who was Tilly, and Leoluca, my great-grandfather, who was known as Louis. The ship manifest, a vital record, added to our knowledge of who is in Angelina's family. It told us two more names and the ages of every member of her family who emigrated, so I know the approximate year of Angelina's birth and of all 6 of her emigrating children. When I try to find them in the census records, I'll use their ages as well as their names to identify this family uniquely. Here's the family listed by age. So when we look for matching census records, we're looking for a family group that looks a lot like this, where their names and their ages are pretty close to this. Reported ages on a ship manifest or a census record are examples of secondary evidence. The Untitled is primary evidence of when and where someone was born and to whom. The ship manifest is primary evidence of who traveled where, when, and on what vessel. But the other information provided, like how old somebody was or how they were related to some of the other passengers, that's secondary. The steamship operator or the census enumerator, they were not present when any of these people were born. So the information that Angelina was born around 1863, for instance, that's secondary. We can use it to look for her in other records, and it should more or less guide us to the right place. But the primary evidence of exactly when and where Angelina was born doesn't come from a ship manifest or a census record or a death record. It can only come from a primary record of her birth. You'll notice that so far, I've built everything that I know about Angelina's family on secondary evidence of their relationships to one another. But should I worry? No, this is normal. You can do a lot with secondary sources. When two secondary sources tend to point to the same answer or make the same assertion, you can make a case based on them. It seems straightforward, but I could still be wrong in my interpretation of these records. We'll get into this in the next video, starting to search, but one of the first challenges that you're going to encounter when you're searching for vital records is finding the right records, the ones that really are your subject and their family, and not just somebody with the same name. Names are not the only details about a subject that we use to uniquely identify them. You also use their birthday, their place of birth, the names and ages of their close kin, and other facts about them to make the case that a vital record belongs to your subject and not to some other person that has similar attributes. When you find a vital record, whether somebody emails it to you, or you find it in a box at your mom's house, or it comes up as a search result on Family Search, you can use the same techniques to make use of it for your research. We'll get into all of these in more depth in future videos. I'm going to walk you through a process of doing a search, finding records, deciding which ones are useful, taking notes on them, building a biography for your subject, expanding your family tree, and coming up with more questions to search for the answers to. You will repeat these steps many times as you're building your family tree. This is what genealogy is. A vital record is the best evidence that a life event happened, whether that's being born, traveling, being enumerated in a census, registering for a draft, getting married, or any of the other events that make up a life. A chronology of these events make up the foundation of a biography. When you add background on a subject, you can tell a story with big emotions. There are stories like this everywhere in the vital records. They need context to give them meaning, to understand a historical event, or the effects of trauma, or cultural values that weigh into decisions from a child's name to when to emigrate, and they need you to put them together. You're going to use what you know about your subject to match them to the claims in a vital record. If several data points match, and none of them strongly contradict what's in other records, you can accept the record as belonging to your subject. If you think it's your subject's vital record, and even if you're not sure yet, take notes, including what kind of record it is, who issued it, the date of the record, the life event that it documents, and all of the unique information on the record. The one piece of information that I always add is approximate year of birth, whenever somebody's age is given in a record. That makes it easier for me to compare records from different years and know if two people are the same age and possibly the same person, or definitely not. Make a citation for the record to let yourself and others who will eventually work with your notes know how you came into possession of this record and how they can find it as well. When you're finished, you'll know more than when you started, and you'll have new questions to add to your list of open issues. Which records and searches those questions take you to depend on the times and places the life events occurred. Knowing that is what allows you to find out what documentation might hold the answers to your questions. That's all for today. Thanks for joining me in an introduction to vital records. I know that was a lot to take in, but rest assured, we're going to go over everything you saw here again in future episodes. I'll see you next time when I'll show you how to do a search and what to do with the results. Take care.